What's up, guys? My name is Matt. So this is a project that I've been wanting to work on for the longest time, and I figured I could catalog it on YouTube really nicely. So this is me here with my grandma's truck that she learned to drive on. So my goal is to get my grandma to drive this truck again. And this first video is going to be a little bit edited crappily, only because I wasn't anticipating to have it posted on YouTube. So it'll be better in the future here. So here's a side shot of the truck before we got rims and tires on it. I've cleaned out the back at this point, and then we also threw some rims and tires. And then I'll be showing you later me trying to spin those wheels. So we're going to go ahead and look through that. The thing I did with the truck to make sure the engine wasn't bad was pick up a bottle of this Marvel Mystery Oil because everybody was recommending it. I poured it down the plug holes, I let it sit for about 8 hours, and we're going to go ahead and see if the engine actually turns. So I have a link for this stuff in the description. Everybody stinking loves this stuff. So as you can see, all the wires have been stripped off. I took out all the plugs. I dumped it down the sides. You can see where it fell down the side of the cylinder wall there a little bit. Put it all in there, and then I gave it about 6 to 8 hours, I'd say. Probably gave it before even trying to attempt to spin it. So again, sorry about the angles here, guys. This was the first time I popped open the hood of the truck here. You can see that the radiator is out. The thermostat stopped anything from going in there. The plug wires are just kind of everywhere. All of the gas lines are kind of rotted away. Needs a good vacuuming, which I'm going to be doing next time I go out there. There's the fuel pump there, which would need to be replaced. All the fuel lines need to be replaced. All of the wiring is pretty stinking brittle. So yeah, it looks a little rough under the hood there, but we'll go ahead and see. So here's kind of the rest of the truck. And again, sorry for it being sideways. So we got the rims, we got the hubs on there. We got a dented fender in the back. This was a farm truck it was used for, so a bunch of dented stuff, and she's going to take a little bit of work here. The cab corners I know are pretty bad generally. There's the other fender, which is pretty dented up. So I've been going to junkyards looking. But the rockers look pretty bad. The cab corners are in need of replacement. The running boards are all toast, so decent amount of parts I'd need. The inside actually looks decent after I cleaned all this stuff up. So it actually won't be too bad on the inside. It's going to need floor pans, but I mean, anything of this age probably would. So this is just kind of a little walk around of the truck here. And a little rusty, but hopefully we'll get her going. So this is where I added the Marvel Mystery Oil. You can see the holes. And then here's just the plug, nice and black, a little bit of junk on the end, but not a terrible looking plug. I was actually quite surprised. So I was pretty happy with the plug there. So here I crossed my fingers, pulled the stick, and thank goodness it had oil in it. Been sitting 40 some years and the sucker had oil, so thank goodness. So that made me feel like there was a chance for hope. So we'll see if she turns. So then I pulled off the valve cover here, and here's all the valves. There's a couple spider webs in there, but for the most part they look nice and moist and straight. Sorry about that angle there, that's pretty bad. Come on, move on over. So there we go, looking pretty decent. Got some spider webs on there, but really nothing looked broken. Everything still looked a little moist from sitting for 40 years. I was really, really surprised. So I was pretty happy with that, opening it on up. Threw it back on after I was all done looking at it. I just wanted to make sure nothing was broken or anything like that. So I'm going to take a vacuum to it before I try and start it, though. Here was the moment of truth, and I was going to let it sit for a few days, but I let it sit for about 6 to 8 hours here. I thought I was going to use a breaker bar, but it turned out it had just a slot in the center there, so I had to find a piece of steel and jam it in there. I struggled here for a hot minute because I just am simple, I guess. So eventually we get it in there, and it was turning, and it turned right away and pretty easily. I was blown away. It was 40 years it was sitting, and it actually was turning after the Marvel Mystery Oil for 8 hours. So I was really happy with that, and then that gives me hope to try and get it started there. I'm like, ooh. So I was pretty happy with that.
That'll be...
So after that, I greased up the tires really good in the front, and I was told by everybody they weren't going to work. So I greased them up really good, I jacked up the front, and then it turns out they were turning. I mean, it sounded like there was a whole ball of rust in there, but they were turning, which I was really happy about. So I was able to get that. This is the front left wheel to turn, so I was very happy with that. And the front right even came going too, so both the front wheels were free. I thought the shoes were going to be completely locked into the drum there, so I was pretty happy with that. So after I finally cleaned out a little bit, we can get a better picture of what the rust looks like on the inside. So pretty rough on the inside, got a couple patches we're going to need throwing. The frame actually was solid. This was sitting on a bunch of giant ash trees, so it actually was really solid. And again, sorry for that angle. I didn't know I was making a video out of this. So really pretty solid though. So what's next for me with this truck? A whole crap load of reading. So I got to read a good chunk of this book. First, I'm just going to try and figure out the electrical and the engine. I'm not going to worry about brake systems. I'm not going to be worrying about anything like that right now. And I can also link this book as well in the description. So that'll be down there as well. But I just need to look up a lot of the processes of this truck and try and figure it out in my head here. Luckily, it's relatively simple to work on. A parts list. So plugs, plug wires, cap, rotor, alternator. I'm going to do that instead of the generator. I'm going to convert it to 12 volts. So I need 12 volt coil. I'm going to need a 12 volt battery, oil filter oil, thermostat. I need a new ground wire. I got the repair manual. I need a bracket, which comes from bow tie bits to get the alternator on there, but I'm not super worried about the alternator. I just want to see if the motor is going to turn over. So this is all the stuff. I'm going to try and keep it on a relatively tight budget because I don't have a ton of money. So I'm going to try and be upfront about how much I'm spending on things too, just so people can have an idea of what it takes to just get a truck running. That's my only real goal here. So I'm going to try and be upfront, and I'm going to keep a total on things for every single episode. So what do you think? Can we get this little girl running? I'm hoping just to get it to run, to stop, to be safe, and then I want to try and get my grandma to drive it as well. So I think that would be really cool. That's kind of the goal here. I think YouTube, if I have questions or if there's advice I can be given, I think YouTube might be a great place for it because so many people can see the content. And I just think it'd be kind of a nice little way to get the truck going and keep me motivated somewhat too. So thanks for watching, guys, and hopefully there'll be some more to come here.